take me through what it was like learning of the show's revival? Who called you? Was it an immediate yes for you to return? Tell me, what was it like hearing this news?
Well, of course, immediate yes. And two, Kathy Najimy, I guess for the past like 15 years, it seems longer, has been always sending like the cast like little snippets that she would hear like in a chat room that was in, like South Korea, and that was attached to a Reddit, and she would send the cast, and I would be like, bro, it's not happening. And then when it really became a thing, you just pinch yourself, because actually when we were recording the show, it was really a pinch me moment. Like, we kind of felt like, oh, this show is really special. Always from the beginning, it wasn't like, just a job. It just felt like you were creating something that was just so profoundly stick to your guts worthy, which is what King of the Hill always was to all of us. So it was really like a pinch me moment.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And what was it like returning to such an iconic character like Bobby after so long?
Well, I always say that he's my favorite character I've ever done, and when I see a picture of Bobby, I think it's a picture of me. Like, I feel like it's my headshot, and it's this cartoon 12, 13-year-old boy, and so it's an amazing gift to be able to portray a character that you feel so deeply connected to, even though he always was a 12-year-old boy. Where did I reach down into myself to, be this kid? And the reality is, he was always such a free-thinking, out-of-the-box character, and he was, just happened to be being raised in Texas and in this small suburb with his parents who both, have certain ways about them and ways of thinking, and Bobby always challenged them. And it's really fun now because you get to see Bobby with attributes of both his parents, and yet still being himself. And so you get like the good, like, vintage King of the Hill stuff, but also the fresh new parts of the show that really like keep it relevant and exciting.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And one of those new aspects of Bobby is that we see him chefing up at a restaurant, Robata chain, German-Japanese fusion restaurant. Were you at all involved in developing this plot line, or like did you give any ideas for like any of his growth in this new season, or were you just kind of presented with this idea and you rolled with it?
They did all the work. Mm-hmm. And I like to think that maybe, because my love of cooking and part of it is like, maybe that would be cool for Bobby, but it's just kind of a great way to introduce his cooking method as opposed to using propane on a grill. So it creates a good little bit of static or friction.
In an era that's filled with so many revivals and returns to older shows, what do you think sets King of the Hill apart from the others?
I don't know about the other shows. I mean, it was really fun being in Comic-Con with South Park, and the two shows, are coming back at the same time, the new seasons. I feel like those shows are really like, the thing about King of the Hill, it was always like a very handmade show, and including like down to the animation. And it just really honors the characters and the detail and the situational stuff that they get into that's just part of where and who they are in that moment. And it's a very present show. And I learned a lot about writing myself from being an actor on King of the Hill and just letting moments land. And I feel, like I said, I loved it when we were doing the original seasons, and doing this new season was just rare air.
And with there being such a huge fan base for this show from its previous 13 seasons, was there anything you were nervous about, I guess, with this revival, like navigating both an old audience and also welcoming it and opening it up to a new audience?
Well, you start to feel, well, I start to feel very protective, because it just feels like you don't want it to be just doing a show for the sake of doing it. You want it to be as good or special as it always was. And when you're coming in with something like this, you got to probably even be a little bit more better.
I know that this season also welcomed some new voice actors as well as a new showrunner. What was it like working with some new members of the cast and crew as well?
Well, in full disclosure, in terms of recording, we don't get to see people. So when I found out that Keith David was a voice on the show, I was like, I couldn't believe, I was so freaking excited, because I'm such a huge fan and I love Ronnie Chang. But really, Saladin Patterson, who is our new showrunner, so it's like my third dad. That was so cool, because we had this guy come in who's like an OG fan of King of the Hill, be able to really nurture it and develop it and bring it into the now.
That's awesome. And do you think fans can expect more King of the Hill after this season? And if so, would you be on board for more seasons?
I would, what am I, insane? Of course I'd be on board. That would be the best. That would be amazing. But just a gift to have done this one.
Where do you see Bobby going forward if there is more to come?
Well, I hope he can stay 21 for the next 20 years. And I don't know. I would never put anything on Bobby, because he's like, even though he's me, he's like one of my kids. So I just want him to be fulfilled, healthy, and keep going.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And with him growing older, did you work on anything to like make your voice sound at all like distinguished?
It was just, we talked about it a lot. We had a lot of meetings about it, and it was just like a nuance. Like, I lowered the balls a little bit. I don't know if you could say that here. I said it. Yeah. I got a thumb up. My butt. Sorry. No, it was just like the tiniest tweak. And, because you feel very protective of the character. And so, they had every right. They could have gone and gotten, like a man, a Barry White sounding, or done something electronically, but we just did it, with just a little change, so people could get that Bobby feeling, but that he has grown.
How else does your experience with voiceover work, like on King of the Hill, differ from some of your more on-screen acting roles?
Well, I mean, it's just so easy. It's kind of the best feeling is to be able to go into a recording studio and lay down recording tracks and not have to worry about hair and makeup and locations and wrangling all these things. It's really kind of a perfect world. And voiceover, I think that my first job when I was 10 was a voiceover, and it was an accident, and it was when I first visited Los Angeles with my dad, and now it's still my bread and butter, and it's the greatest world. So hopefully one day I could create my own animated show or movie.